Hey guys, it's Charles Österlund here with Blue Cabarete in Cabarete, Dominican Republic. And as you might have seen, depending on which video you're watching first, we're doing our review here on the Frigate and as well as on the Plume of F1, the two new wings. One of them is a para-wing, the other one is a K-wing. This is exclusive to F1, the K-wing, and today we're gonna be talking about the Plume, which is their K-wing. So I'm repeating that a lot, but that's what that is. So one thing that's interesting, I don't know too much information. I like to go into these things blind. And the reason why I'm trying all of this now is because I have a friend, William, from Puerto Rico, who's like, Charles, you gotta be on the forefront of testing out the new toys in the world. And I was a little bit of a skeptic with winging initially when it started many years ago. I was a year late to the game, let's say. But this time around, I'm not gonna do the same thing where I actually really enjoyed winging. So I'm gonna give a shot to these new toys, and I'm gonna bring them to Cabarete so that people who come here and also wanna test them out, they're gonna get to test them out. So I decided to get two pair of wings and a K-wing. This is the 5.0, let me see, just to confirm. This is the 5.0, which seems to be a standard size for our wind conditions around 15 to 25 knots, let's say. So this should run a wide range of conditions for us here in Cabarete. As you can tell, it's brand new. I haven't even opened them up. I haven't really watched any videos either, so I don't know what to expect. I just know that this is an inflatable pair wing, let's say, that you're gonna hold with one hand, and you get to fly it around, and you get to take some waves, endless bumps, as they say. One thing that I was reaching for in the beginning of the video was this adapter, which is something that I did see in a video, that the wing uses what I would call the old inflation system. I'm not sure why that is, but it is what it is. So once we open this up, we're gonna see what we actually got. All right, this actually seems pretty big. All right, so opening it up, looks like a small kite, almost like a trainer kite. One strut, one bar, a bridle system. Let's see this bar if we can get it. One bar. Interesting enough, no leash. Again, so I mentioned that in the last video that I was flying the Frigate and it had no leash. So I was like, do people ride this without a leash? You know, I'm new to this, so I'm not really sure if that would be the best call or not. Ah, sorry, look at what I'm talking about. I'm holding the leash. It has a leash. All right, that makes sense, because I was about to say, this is gonna be interesting to fly all these things without a leash attached. So anyways, it looks like it is attached to one of the lines, and I'm guessing I'd have to go like this. All right, cool. So it does have a leash, which is great. Great to see that. In any case, so we got this 5 meter. If you're curious about seeing a para-wing review, we're gonna have the para-wing review as well online. Let me just see to take off this rubber band. A little bit annoying. All right, one more spin. We got that off. All right, and we should be off here. Okay. So there we go. We got the wing. As you can tell, the inflators is what I expected from that video I saw. So it has a dump valve, a deflate, and then you got the inflate. As you guys most know, if you kite or wing, all the systems are using sort of that SUP system, which is, let me just take this rope off, which is this big adapter. Oh. Which is this big adapter. So now these wings don't use that. One thing that I do like, it does pack up into a super small bag. So I think people who are traveling might enjoy that feature. Same with the Frigate. It's actually super small how it packs up. But either way, we got this. I'm just gonna put this like that. Oh, we're gonna pump this up. Let me see if it gives me. All right, so it does give me the recommended PSI, which is 8. So we're just gonna do this real quick. Show you guys live how it is. It should pump up fairly quick. Just get this opened up. Such a small, there we go. Just make sure the bridles are not attached to anything. Nope. There we go. So we're at 8 PSI. And I am gonna pump that up. So that's interesting. I really don't know why they went for this valve, but it's good to show you guys this live. We're gonna, there we go. So yeah, you gotta play with it. I remember these times when I was kiteboarding. Maybe it's because of the profile of how small everything is that they want to save space. Anyways, so we got that. Sorry if you can't see me. I'm just looking at this bar, getting everything organized. There we go. So a little bit of a setup in the beginning, just to make sure everything is right. I put this on my left hand. That's how I do it winging. Check that out, see if it works out. All right. So now we're gonna try to fly this for the first time. So I'm gonna grab the bar. Yeah, so this honestly feels huge. Let's see if I get it up. Come on. So you see that? That's why. There you go. I was like, that's strange, it's not responding. There we go. So now it's flying. Well, compared to the 4-meter Frigate, this thing's huge. And definitely, so this you can see, we'll just do a quick test of letting go. So if I let go of it, just sort of depowers, which is nice. And we'll do it by grabbing the rope. And then we'll whoop, let that go. And then we're back up. So to be honest, guys, flying these wings, it's pretty intuitive, right? You see I'm here on the beach. I can hold it with one hand. We're gonna test out the holding the backhand just to see, just like in kiting or winging, when you pull on your backhand, you sort of sheet in and you supposedly get a little bit of power. Obviously you could depower them by pulling too much. You sort of stress it out, but yeah, you can hold the bar sort of in the middle, but on the your both hands on the front. I can almost see it being nice, riding it like this, playing in the waves. All right, so now the question is how we get to the handle so that when we're riding. We're just gonna give it a shot here. So I almost wonder if it's gonna be a combination of that. So I'm just playing around, you know, this is the first time we're playing with it, but I almost wonder if it's gonna have to be a combo of that. And then if you're gonna wanna, let's say you're riding, you're gonna switch sides. You know, you're gonna have to get in the habit of it. You have to get in the habit of it, but it'll be something along those lines. So I'll probably pull it down, forget about the bar, and then just be holding it and then riding the wave. So it's something a little bit different. Definitely something to get used to. And something that's interesting too. So if you're a shorter rider, then this might be a bit of a challenge to, you know, to pull yourself in, because you have to do this all while riding. So let's say I'm riding here. I might want to pull this twice, boom. And then I have to throw that out and then get it back up. All while riding. So it's gonna be interesting. That's why I say it's a little bit different. I've seen some guys para-winging. I haven't seen anyone K-winging yet. So we'll be the first, world first in Cabarete. But it's definitely something that you'd have to get used to. And I'm almost thinking about it. If I was riding a wave and I'm going down with the wind, I'm probably gonna wanna pull in here, let go of the bar, and then make my way to the handle, and then be like this. So something a little bit different. Same when I'm reaching over. I'm gonna have to figure out how I'm gonna do this in one motion. And then you see there, okay. How I'm gonna do that in one motion. So we're gonna test out all these things on the water, but going back to it, this is the 5-meter. This is supposedly for that 15-knot range. The thing is huge. To be honest, I would almost feel like you're riding like light wind spots and you're doing downwind and you're semi-desperate. I think if I was riding this at any point in time in Cabarete, I'm gonna wanna try to fly it when it's stronger winds. So I'll probably try to get a smaller size and let's say you take this bad boy out when it's 20 knots, 25 knots or more, and then you sort of you K-wing with it. So I'm not gonna talk too much. This is not an in-depth review. This is just to show you guys first impressions of it. I'm gonna try this wing out first, and then I'm gonna try out the Frigate. Make sure to check out both videos. I might even make one video that's combined, talking about the two in the same one, but this is gonna be a separate video. Going back to it, I think that, there we go, maybe that works. And then as you're riding, you can flip it over. One of the things I saw online was that it makes a lot of noise when you're riding it in the wind. It's flapping a lot, so that's something else. But in terms of the bar, you know, it seems with a little bit of play, you're gonna get the hang of it. And as you can tell, the lines don't really tangle up. And let's just go back to testing out my theory. That might be how you have to get it. And then you flip it upside down and you ride it. So either way, we're gonna play with that. The bar is multicolored. The bar is multicolored, so you're gonna know that the orange is your front hand. So that's somewhat easy. And then going back to it, I think if you just pull this. Well, interesting, it still flies. Obviously it's fully powered, but yeah, you just hold in the front handle and super easy. Very stable. You see I'm playing with this and it doesn't move. And then I think if I'm pumping, I'm gonna also wanna hold it semi in the back and in the front. All right, guys, that is it. Now we're gonna go into the water. We're gonna try it out. So get ready for that part. I'm gonna leave this here for now. I'm gonna get my protective gear on. We're gonna go out. Just so you know, I mentioned the other video, but I'll mention it here. This is the 84-liter crossover with the, sorry, 83. Yeah, I don't know if I said 84 or 83, but 83-liter crossover. A lot of guys who've been going into this are using downwinding boards, things that are a little bit bigger. I don't got that. I got an 83-liter. So I'm gonna try that out with a bigger foil though. It's the SK8 V2 1050. So this is a way bigger foil than I normally ride. I usually ride a 750. I just wanna give it to myself a little bit easier. Foil in the same position. So we're gonna test it out, guys. And let's see, first try on the K-wing. And if you watch our other video, you're gonna see the first try on the Frigate. So make sure to check out both of those videos and let's get out there. But from this position, let me see if we can reach. Hey, so you see, my arms are not that strong, so or long. No. Anyways, we're gonna go mess around with this, guys. We're gonna go mess around with this. See you in a little bit. Vámonos. Hey guys, it's Charles here. Just got off the water. Let me wrap this up real quick. Something like that, little Kawasaki spin. Anyways, so just got off the water, tested out the Frigate, tested out the Plume. This is gonna be the same outro for both videos that we just did. So if you're watching the Frigate video, then you're gonna get the summary as well as the Plume. And if you're watching the Plume video, you're also gonna get the summary of the Frigate. But in any case, guys, I tried out the two wings, or this is a K-wing, this is a para-wing. But I tried them out. This is the 5.0 Plume, this is the 4.0 or 4.2 Frigate. Essentially equivalent in size in terms of the wind that you require to fly them in, which is around 15 knots plus. I was using this 84-liter board, which is the crossover, the rocket crossover, with a 1050 SK8 foil. So a lot of the guys that have been trying out this sport have been trying it out with like downwinder boards, 90 liters, 105 liters plus. And me, I used what I got. It worked out. You're gonna see in the video that you just watched, you probably saw it, where it took me 2 tries to get up on the Plume. The first try was a little bit odd, just the wind there's a bit of a wind shadow in the entry. And then once I was further out, I got up and riding. And same with the Frigate, it was pretty much right away. One thing that I did notice, and I mentioned it, you see the Plume has a leash. The Frigate did not come with a leash. I'm gonna do a little bit more research if people use it with a leash, but I did see that it came with a harness hook, and now I understand why. This thing has so much power in your hands, my forearms were on fire. I was like, holy moly, don't let go, Charles, because who knows what's gonna happen. And that was the interesting experience. This was very manageable in the arms. I felt like a little bit less pressure, good way to pumping it. This was a little bit more squirmy, a little bit lighter in the power in the beginning, but once you're up and riding, you're like nuking. So the reality is that you could probably get away with smaller wings once you're more advanced, and then it's probably gonna be a lot better also for packing it up and everything. I still have to get in the habit of packing it up. I tried, I think, twice. It might be on the video, we might have caught it. I also tried to flip this wing around and launch it again. So, you know, it's gonna take some time to getting used to. I saw people have like a bag to put this in. To be honest, I don't have a bag, and I probably should even get, if anything, a higher aspect foil for this type of riding, because this is a mid aspect, let's say, wing setup that you can catch waves and you can glide, but if it doesn't have much power, you really have to work it compared to, let's say, an Eagle or something like that just has a bit more glide. So that's the only note that I can have in terms of the foil setup, as well as the board, that the board I could probably use. In reality, now it's fine with this wind, but if you have more volume and you're learning, you're gonna appreciate that, as well as if you have a bigger foil and you're trying it out, you're also gonna appreciate that. So you really wanna have the right size wing, the right size board and foil, and then also paired up with the right size para-wing or K-wing in this case. And I'm going back to it. Is this gonna replace wing foiling for me? I don't think so. Will I try it out, experiment a little bit more, maybe get an Eagle in the quiver to have like some downwind sessions, because there are some nice downwind sessions? Potentially. Am I gonna try to get the bag? Am I gonna mess around with it a little bit more? Yes. And I also, the reason why I got these two in these sizes, that's the most common size for here in Cabarete, and I want other people to try it, you know, have their thoughts on it. This one though, I am gonna figure out if we need a wrist leash and also the harness hook. Harness hook definitely recommended, because I was out there for maybe a 5-minute or 10-minute session, back and forth, couple tacks, and I was like, holy moly, my arms are gonna rip off, right? I didn't have that on the K-wing, but I did have that on the Frigate, which is the para-wing. So in any case, interesting sport. This is just my first impression, guys. Like I said, I don't have the full setup that you might see in other videos where they're really putting everything together. Me, I just wanted to see, can I buy a para-wing or a K-wing and use the gear I got and get riding? And I was able to. As you can tell, this is a classic day. You know, this is around 15 knots steady, up to like 18 to 22 roughly. Let's say a little bit out there, it's a little bit further. You see this kiter, he's on a 10 meter and he's doing fine, he will be doing fine. So that's that, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video, or these two videos. If you're watching one or the other, make sure you check the other one out, because I go a little bit more in depth about my first impression when flying it here on the beach and then going into the water. I do recommend getting the hang of flying these on the beach first, play with it for 20, 30 minutes. You know, I played with it a couple minutes both, And then I went out, and then same when you get out there, you know, I didn't go out with a board leash, so that's maybe something to consider, using a board leash. I always ride without a board leash, so that's one thing. The other thing is that I also did a little interesting technique where I kept the wing up, was just body dragging a little bit just to get the feel for it. And then going from my knees, I just keep that wing up there and I push off with one hand and I get up onto my knees and I get standing. So if you don't have much balance, you're gonna need more volume, that's gonna help. And if you have a hard time pumping, whether you're pumping with your hands or with your feet, you're definitely gonna benefit from having your foil a little bit more forward and a bigger foil. But in any case, if you have any questions, any thoughts, if you're trying out the Parawing or the K-Wing, make sure to let me know, because I'm curious to know, what is your experience? What are your thoughts? Do you come from a kiting, a winging background and you're trying this out? That's also another note that I'll talk about in another video, which is, I think to getting into these two sports, you need to be a wing foiler, you need to be a kiter beforehand. Well, probably a wing foiler. I don't know if kiting's gonna help you too much. Maybe with this one, it could work out. But you definitely need to be a foiler and most likely a wing foiler to get into these sports, you know? So I don't see people really learning on this how to para-wing, let's say. You know, you can go from 0 to hero wing foiling, but I'd be very surprised if someone says, hey, let me go to a school that's only teaching para-wing and I know no other sports. I really think that this is like a second tier sport to wing foiling, because to get up and riding on this with no foil experience, it'll be tricky. Same with the K-Wing. Maybe it's a little bit more possible. These are all notes for another video, guys. I'm not gonna bore you anymore. I'm gonna leave you with a view of Cabarete Bay, and have a great day. And thank you for watching. Make sure to like, subscribe, reach out if you're planning to come down to Cabarete. We're about to hit the winter time. Now it's August, but if you make it down in winter, give us a shout, or even this next summer, 2026. See you.